Hey, this is Ryan. I wanted to make a video real quick. I just wanted to share with you a few things. Today, my mind has been running like crazy. I need to start writing things down because sometimes if your mind is just running too much, you need to write things down. Anyways, I wanted to share with you this picture right here, this painting back here I did. It's an oil painting I did. But I wanted to share that, of course. But also, what I wanted to share with you is my book that I wrote, I finished. And here it is, The Superhero Project X Thriller Part 1. And my daughter helped me with the artwork. She's really good with the artwork. Here's the back of it. There's me right there. As you can see, that's me. Um, this is Balboa Book Publishing Company. So it's got a few pictures in there. See if I could. Well, anyways, I can't really open the book because I'll like bend it open, I'll damage it. Um, I'm not quite prepared to go in and show all the pictures and everything, but that's my book. Yeah, I wrote this book. It's about 160 pages, 150 pages, something like that. And it's just amazing that of actually looking at it right now. I'm just like, how how did this end up happening? Like, how did I end up writing this book? Like, I can't even believe it. But I did. I wrote the book, and when you get down the way I did it, the way I wrote the book was I just you know what I did actually was there was um there was some videos that I was watching. One of them was about quantum physics, and I don't know what it is about quantum physics, but here's what I found with myself. I can't say that it will work for everybody, but I started watching videos about quantum physics, and for whatever reason, whatever the guy is saying about quantum physics, my mind and my body and my spirit, whatever, says, hey, you could do anything you want to do. Uh, just go out and start doing it, and I don't know what it is, but I wanted to write a book. I thought that if I could write a book, then I could do anything because writing a book is like something that's like way up here, like something that everybody wants to do in life is to write a book, but nobody, like only some people do it, you know. And so I thought I want to write a book, and people always say like I don't have enough time or this and that, da da da. And what I found was if I don't have no expectation of this has got to be the best book. Instead, my thinking was, hey, you ever notice those books or video games or in my mind it was video games came to mind. The reason why is because I noticed that like collectors and stuff and people who talk about that kind of stuff, it's like there was this one video game. It was called Mega Man, and the first one that they released, it was kind of generic. The game was kind of generic, and the cover of the game was like horrible. But for some reason, everybody remembered that game, and it was like almost like the cover was so bad that nobody even cared. They're just like they love it no matter what because they like the game. Now they like the cover, whatever. And I thought about that game. I thought, man, there's some. It's kind of like indie stuff, right? Like indie stuff. Like there's the big awesome guy up here, and then there's the indie creators, right? And the indie creators always have the most. They always have the most creativity, right? They always it's like they have a lot of creativity in indie stuff, like indie comic books, video games, books, whatever it is. The music, um, indie always has the very creative stuff. It's almost like concept art. It's like I guess that's why it's indie is because it's like made generic by just like somebody that just put it together the best they could, and they don't have all the big money production that they got. So that's why I really like indie stuff because it's very creative and it's very like the beginning stage of something that could end up being one of these big things. And uh and so that's why I really like indie stuff. Um but I also like big production stuff too. But I noticed there's a lot of creativity in indie stuff, and that thinking was to me was like, hey, it don't have to be perfect. It don't have to be like the big production stuff. It just has to be like it doesn't have to be perfect. Have some flaws. Like flaws are great because people like love the flaws. It makes it even bigger. Like for instance, in a movie Star Wars, the old Star Wars movie that George Lucas made, one of the original ones. One of the stormtroopers in the background, nobody knew this when they were watching the movie, of course, but in the background, one of the stormtroopers hit his head when he was walking through, and he was like a background character. Well, big Star Wars fans, somebody found that accident that happened. And I don't know if the director knew or if he didn't care. He just wanted to get it over with, or they didn't see it. But the stormtrooper guy hits his head in the background. He's like, "Ooh!" He's like that, and somebody found that. Somebody discovered that. Like, and they're like watching a movie. They're like, "Did you see that in the background? The stormtrooper hit his head." Okay, so that would be like a flaw, right? That would be like a big flaw, right? But instead of it like damaging the movie and making everybody like, oh my God, a flaw, instead it was like, oh my gosh, a flaw, look what happened. Like, oh my gosh, it's not perfect. And then all of a sudden it's like the big production got even bigger. Like people even got even more hysterical and crazy about it. So it's like if the thinking is don't worry about being perfect, you could actually get things done. Because when I first started off, I was like, I was writing, then I had a bad day where I wasn't doing too good. Then I went back and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I need to redo this. Okay, that's bad. That's bad. Don't go back and redo it. It's like that day you were feeling it and you were doing really good. Then you went back and read it and said, no, this ain't good enough. Well, you know what? Don't go back. Don't go back and read it and try to make it better. Just keep going until you finish. Okay? And then on the next one, on your next book, you could do better. Or the next day you could do better. But don't go back and keep trying to fix up something because you'll be stuck in this thing where you never get the book done. You're just constantly like, nope, nope, that's not good enough. Back to the drawing board. That's not good enough. Back to the drawing board. And you never get finished. Instead, just go, 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 go. Get finished. And then on the next one, try to do better until you finish. And then on the next one, try to do better until you finish. And now you have 3 things done. And they may not be perfect. It may not be exactly the way you saw it in your mind, but one thing is in your mind, everything's perfect. In your mind, you could do anything and everything's perfect. You could imagine whatever you want. It always comes out perfect in your mind. But once you try to portray the stuff inside your mind and bring it out into reality, which is what we want it to do, that's going to be, it's not perfect. It's going to come out into reality and it's going to be not perfect. Okay. Um, in your mind, nothing gets old and dies and gets ruined or anything. Everything's fixed in an instant in your mind. You just think it, and there it is. But in reality, you make it into something. You make it into a book. This book could get damaged. It over time. It could get old and fall apart. So. So anyways, I don't know what the heck I was just talking about. But yeah, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take things out of our mind and bring it into reality. Another thing that I believe is that I kind of believe a little bit is that if you're taking things in your mind, you're putting them into a computer, I don't feel like it's actually bringing something into reality. You have to bring things into reality, like actual, like touch and feel stuff. Like I could touch and feel this as, I could touch and feel this. You know, it's it's something special to bring things out of your mind into something that is actual that you could touch and feel in the physical, not just on the computer screen. Okay, so that's just something that I was thinking about. That's why when you write things down, when you write it out like on a piece of paper, you're bringing that into the physical reality, into our world physical reality of writing it down on a piece of paper. Um, when you put it into the computer from your mind, put it into the computer, it's seems to me, but it may not be for everybody, but it seems to me like it's not coming into the physical touch. You could touch and you could see it as much, but I guess you could say like, well, I touch it and I feel my phone and it's in my phone, but um, we want to bring stuff more out of our minds into reality more. The better we can do that, the more we could do that, the more we see it in our reality, um, other than just being on a computer, um, like on a computer screen. You know what I mean? Like for instance, like I could look at a picture of a car on my computer screen, but that's not bringing it into the physical reality of the car is actually in the physical reality where I could touch it and smell it and taste it or whatever, drive it, feel it. Um, it's a picture on my monitor screen. Um, Another thing that I believe is that seeing pictures on your screen are not as effective as actually seeing a picture on a piece of paper or inside of a magazine for your mind. The reason why is because on your picture, on your monitor or on your cell phone, pixels are shooting really fast to create the image. The image is like moving like that. It's not solid. Okay, you're looking at something that is it's pulsating really fast to make the picture. So, but when you look on in a magazine on a picture on a piece of paper, it's solid. It's more solid. Okay, it's the first viewing of that. It's like solid. The reason why is because you're not looking at it through a lens, like, well, you're looking at it through the lens of your eye, but you're not looking at it through the lens of your eye, through the lens of another camera onto the internet. And then you have to turn on the mechanism, and then it's like it's going to be flashing. This right now, what you're watching is actually it's flashing a bunch of pixels really quickly, and it's like in your eyes picking it up, but it's not solid. Okay, it's not solid. Like if I was in person, I would be solid. Okay, like you would look at me, and it would actually go into your mind better if you saw me on a picture or something like that. It would be in your mind better than actually watching on video, where your mind's it gets the visual, but it's in a way where it's not as solid. So anyways, that's something that I kind of discovered through visualization, because I notice if you look at a screen, um, it's hard to close your eyes and visualize what you saw on the screen. It's harder than if you see something in a magazine. You look at a picture in a magazine, you focus on it, and then you go close your eyes and you try to picture it in your mind. It'll be really solid in your mind. Okay, so that's just something interesting that I discovered with looking at monitors and looking at like actual physical, like a photo on a piece of paper. That's what I've discovered. I discovered if I look in a magazine, for some reason, when I close my eyes and I imagine stuff, the colors are brighter, the images are sharper. I could see everything really well. But when I am watching a picture, looking at a picture on a monitor or on my phone, when I close my eyes and I try to picture stuff, it's not as solid for some reason. I don't feel like I can visualize it as good. And it's something that I personally noticed. And then when I found out that like the reason why is probably because the image is flashing, it's like pulsating, it's not solid, it's not steel. I think that is one of the reasons. The other thing is that on a piece of paper, an image, when you look at it in our real world, it actually is moving too, because atoms are moving, right? It's actually moving, but it appears more solid than on a screen, because our life that we're living in with the atoms moving, is a lot, it has a lot faster bandwidth or whatever than what humans make. God has a much faster bandwidth, like the way things are being put together than on our computers and cell phones, which is man-made, which is like, we think it's fast, but it's actually very, 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 very slow. Okay, so just something that I wanted to talk about. I have a million ideas. I'm writing down. I have to write down everything. I've got so many different ideas for things and things I've got to do. It's almost overwhelming, but I don't want it to get like that. So, anyways, that was my video. So the moral of the story is, whatever works for you, whatever you notice that when you watch it, like for instance, whenever I watch Joel Osteen, whenever I watch a little bit of his sermon, I don't know why, but all of a sudden I start going and I start doing stuff. And I like that. I like that I'm motivated, I'm going and doing stuff. But when I watch Tony Robbins, which is he's the biggest motivational speaker, for some reason I don't feel motivated to do stuff. I feel more motivated to conversate with people. So that's just something that might be like a spiritual thing. So it might be like, if I watch Joel Osteen, in the spirit, it's telling me do stuff. When I watch Tony Robbins, in the spirit, it's telling me communicate with people. Okay? Different people have, I guess, a different effect on different people. So if you can find the persons that get you to do stuff that you want to do, then that's a good person to always go to keep you going. Like for instance, like whenever I feel like I'm not doing enough, I might watch a Joel Osteen, or this other guy that I watch. He talks about quantum physics. Whenever I watch his videos, I always write. I always go on my computer and I write my story. And I'm like, hey, all I got to do is watch one of his videos, and I know what my body's going to do and my mind's going to do. It's going to be like, you got to write. So I'll be writing, So different people have a different effect on different people. And if you find the videos, or you find the person that has an effect on you a certain way, you know that whenever you go to that, that'll happen. And then that could help you out. There was an old song I remember. Well, there's a couple old songs also that I remember that whenever I play these particular songs, I find myself like doing stuff, wanting to do stuff, wanting to progress. Um, so, anyways, that's just something to keep in mind while you're watching videos and you're doing different stuff. Is find out what works and then use that and go to it every morning. Or anytime you get in a slump, go to that one video or go to that song or go to whatever it is that triggers that makes you be the person who you want to be, I guess, or at least just help you to get things like going and help get things done. Okay, so this is Ryan. I'll talk to you next time. I have about a million different ideas that I want to talk about, and I'll see you on the next video. All right, bye, peace, I'm out. Like, comment, subscribe. I gotta get better at that. I gotta put that at the beginning of the videos. Okay, so anyways, have a good one. Peace, I'm out. It's Ryan.